We simply must give Ukraine every tool they need to defend themselves, because they are dealing with an enemy who has said and has proven by their actions that they are intent on wiping Ukraine off the face of the map.
Cormac, it's fair to say that Ukraine has been very proactive in the way it's painted itself as the on a morally different plane from Russia, who was an invasionary force. All of the atrocities that they've enacted on the ground. This is a much morally more ambiguous place for Ukraine, though, isn't it?
No, I don't think that it is. And there's a couple of points that I would like to make. The first point I would take up, the point that the MP made, is Russia is already using these cluster munitions on Ukrainian soil. Now, when we think of cluster munitions, we think of the sort of atrocities that indeed Russia has committed in Syria, where they are used against civilian targets. This will not be the case in Ukraine. Ukraine will use these cluster munitions exclusively against military targets and exclusively on Ukrainian soil. They will not be used to attack certainly civilian targets on Russian soil. And the other point, that I would pick up on what the MP said, Ukraine is undergoing genocide at the moment, and I will qualify that. That is genocide that meets all 5 tests of the United Nations Charter. The Ukrainian Prosecutor General, with the aid of the international community, is currently investigating in the region of 80,000 war crimes, and some of these are simply the most horrendous and the most sickening of rape and torture and murder and so forth. So Ukraine is fighting for its very life. Quite honestly, I don't think it makes any difference whether a Russian soldier is killed by a bullet, a Challenger tank, which the Brits have provided, or a Storm Shadow missile, or indeed cluster munitions. We simply must give Ukraine every tool they need to defend themselves, because they are dealing with an enemy who has said and has proven by their actions that they are intent on wiping Ukraine off the face of the map.
Whether it's traditional bullets, whether it's a Challenger tank, whether it's any of these other munitions that have been provided to Ukraine by its allies. I guess the difference is a Challenger 2 tank, a round of ammunition. None of that is banned by over 100 countries for import and export in the world in the way that cluster bombs are, because of the nature of the weaponry.
Well, that particular convention, it should be pointed out, neither Ukraine nor the United Nations or the United States are signed up to that. But the far more important point is you have a country that's fighting for its very life. You have a country where its citizens are being butchered on a daily basis. So I think it is morally right to give Ukraine, who has been totally illegally invaded, every means that they need to drive this barbarian enemy off their land and protect their people.
And in terms of that counteroffensive, that bid to push the Russian invaders back, we heard that over 100 square miles has been successfully retaken. But how do you see strategically that's what we call it spring, but it was an early summer counteroffensive going?
The counteroffensive is going slowly, and the reason it is going slowly, what the Ukrainians are currently doing is what they describe as shaping operations. They're probing different parts of the front line, which is 1,200 kilometers long. And one of the reasons it's going so slow, for a counteroffensive to be effective, an army needs air superiority. We have only recently agreed to give the Ukrainians the F-16s that they have been crying out for over a year, and recently said that they would not get these F-16s until after this current counteroffensive. So the Ukrainians are having to conduct this counteroffensive effectively with one hand tied behind their back. From everything I'm hearing, I have confidence that the counteroffensive is going well, but it is going slowly. And one of the reasons it's going slowly is to save Ukrainian lives. But, you know, if we had given Ukraine the weapons they were crying out for a year ago, rather than just finally giving them 14 months, 16 months into this horrible war, I think we would be in a very different position right now.